What I'm about to share with you separates the top 1% of women from the rest, and it's not luck, it is not privilege, and it's not talent. It is certainly also not some kind of a magical, I'm born confident personality trait. It is identity, it's psychology, it's emotional regulation, wealth conditioning, and a deep internal rewiring that most women never do because no one ever teaches us how to do that. The top 1% women, the women who lead, the women who build wealth, influence, the women who innovate and expand, didn't get there because they were simply smarter or because they worked super hard. If hard work alone made people wealthy, every single woman working 3 jobs would be a millionaire by now. So that is not the key. The top 1% got there because they mastered the inner architecture that makes wealth, power, and leadership possible, sustainable, and safe in a woman's body. So let's start with the truth that very few women are ever taught to claim their power. In schools, girls learn rules, but boys learn strategy. Girls learn to stay safe. Boys learn to take risks. Girls are socialized to be agreeable, whereas boys are socialized to negotiate and to fight for what they want. And by the time those girls grow into women, when they start running businesses, the patterns are already there deep into their system. So what happens? They start undercharging, they start overgiving, they start apologizing before they even speak. They start soften up their brilliance to avoid intimidating others. And women fear being too ambitious. They fear being too loud, too much, too successful, too wanting, too demanding. But the top 1% women rewire all of this. They heal the inherited fears. They challenge the collective conditioning. They stop waiting for permission. They stop shrinking to make other people feel comfortable. They stop apologizing for wanting more. And they also stop acting like their desire for wealth needs to be justified by charity or even motherhood or by some kind of feminine softness. To understand what separates the top 1%, we need to understand the deep emotional layers behind money, especially for females. Money is not just numbers. It is emotional, it is psychological, it is affected by trauma, by history, by nervous system capacity, by your belief systems, and your identity. Every financial decision a woman makes is emotional long before it becomes logical. And neuroscience confirms that. The emotional brain activates before the rational brain whenever we make decisions. So if a woman has shame around money or guilt or any other negative emotion, she will sabotage it. If a woman fears success, she will undercharge, underperform. If a woman believes she is unworthy, and so many of us have been brainwashed to believe that, she will avoid opportunities unconsciously. If a woman associates money with instability or control, she will push it away. The top 1% knows this. And that's why we focus just as deeply on emotional mastery as we do on strategy. So let's talk about money shame, because this is so important. It is the number one thing that destroys more potential in women than anything else. Women have been taught for centuries that wanting more money makes us greedy, unfeminine, materialistic, gold diggers. First of all, sir, you don't have gold. What am I supposed to dig? Or even morally questionable. And this shame doesn't just come from society, it often comes from the family. Mothers who said, be grateful, don't ask for more. Or fathers who warned, women who chase money are ... negative word about who she is. Partners also weaponize money as control. And in many cases, there is loads of generational trauma. This is ancestors who lost everything, families who survived through scarcity, women who were punished for wanting autonomy and who actually never got it. I mean, we are finally living in times when we actually have some financial power. That trauma lives in the body. It becomes a nervous system blueprint. So when a woman tries to charge premium prices, when she wants to raise prices, or when she wants to invest in herself or scale her business, her body interprets it as a danger. So she will avoid it as the plague. Not because she's weak, but because her subconscious is holding memories she has never consciously lived. The top 1% women do the emotional work. They stop running from the shame and they face it. They learn emotional intelligence, which is so important. And they become comfortable with their desires. They learn to ask for more. They expand their receiving capacity. They learn to receive more. They learn. Notice I said learn. They learn to hold more. They understand that money amplifies who they already are. So if they are grounded, ethical, conscious, and generous, their wealth is going to become a force for good. This is what happened with me. They also understand that money doesn't just respond to, I want more money, and that needy, desperate, chaotic energy. Money responds to grounded power. Another massive difference between top performing women, that 1%, and everyone else is how they relate to fear. This is really important. Most women interpret fear as a stop sign. Fear says, don't do it, and they obey. The top 1% interpret fear as data, as information, as a signal. Fear means expansion. We know that fear comes when something is unfamiliar. For me, fear means growth. I know that it's not a sign to stop. I know that it's a sign that I'm just doing something new. I understand that also that fear and intuition are not the same, because intuition is quiet and grounding, while fear is loud, dramatic, and I make the difference between the two. Successful women also understand that being brave is not the absence of fear. It is moving despite of it. And then there is the emotional loop that 99% of women never break out. The need for safety. Poverty, scarcity, instability, toxic relationships, these things imprint the nervous system. Someone who has experienced emotional instability in childhood or later on will unconsciously recreate it through financial instability in adulthood. We see this across the board. That's why so many women stop at a certain income level. They're not lazy, they're not blocked, they're not cursed, or it's not Mercury. They are not also unmotivated or not inspired. This is your nervous system that maxes out. That's your ceiling. Their body associates bigger numbers with danger. And the top 1% women rewire that. They are aware that this happens. I felt it with myself many times. And so I knew I had to expand my capacity to feel safe with more money. I am still learning, by the way. I have to learn my nervous system to regulate. I had to do somatic work. I had to release trapped emotions. And trapped emotions are very interesting. They are real. As Dr. Bradley Nelson explains, emotions are pure energetic vibrations. When they are processed properly, they are released. But when they are not processed, they become stored in the body, influencing behavior for years. Financial trauma, for example, being humiliated over money, shamed for debt, or controlled by a partner, or even just watching your parents suffer financially, it becomes trapped in your body, in your system. And those trapped emotions distort how you receive. They create self-sabotage, they make you undercharge, they make you say yes to the wrong clients, they make you fear raising your prices or having better offers, and they even put you in weird situations, for example, ending up with the wrong partner. And I've watched clients clear these trapped emotions and experience immediate income breakthroughs, not because their strategy changed, but because their capacity to receive, to make more money, to earn more money, to play the game of money, it has changed. Another key difference for the top 1% women is that they understand the difference between money and wealth. Money is income, numbers. Wealth is about an identity. It's assets, it's time, it's freedom, it's power, it's capacity, it's emotional stability, it's a long-term vision. Money can be lost. The goal of wealth is not to be lost. Wealth is built and it compounds and it expands through conscious decisions, not just emotionally reacting to things. It is so different than just making money. The top 1% thinks in decades, not in days. They think in assets, not just purchases that make them happy in the moment. They think in leverage, not just hard work. They think in pricing power, not pricing fear. They think in legacy, not just surviving. So if you resonated with this, I want you to really start implementing it, because money energetics is extremely important. Money energetics is one of the number one things that women in power manage to master. Because here's the thing, the vibration that you create in these situations is extremely important, right? And when you are energetically not aligned, things start to happen. Like you start experiencing all of these issues. The universe starts reflecting your energy. You start trying things and they fail and you feel stuck and you just can't break through. The magic happens when you shift into the different type of energetics, like I mentioned, the energy of already having it. You practice this embodied version of you who already has the money. And the thing is, it's uncomfortable because you need to have belief without evidence. But when you do, things start to change. You will start noticing that clients will appear, opportunities will open, money will start flowing, not because you manifested magically, but because you shift from panic into power. The top 1% women, they master that. They don't create from desperation, they create from a grounded identity. And another difference, they protect their environment. So if your partner, friends, or family carries scarcity energy, it affects you. If someone is jealous of your success, someone who's close to you, you will subconsciously dim yourself. If it's a partner, I've experienced that and I did it. I once had a partner who became super jealous every time I succeeded, and I started hiding my wins. I started muting my joy of this experience. I started shrinking myself, and at one point I said I have to leave. And when I left, my income exploded shortly after that. And I've watched clients going through the same. The top 1% women, they don't surround themselves with an energy that suffocates them. They surround themselves with people who expand them. So now let's talk about pricing, because this is where most women sabotage, and they sabotage big time. Women don't charge premium prices because they lack strategy. They don't charge also because they lack safety. Undercharging is most of the time a trauma response, because overgiving is a survival strategy. So every time you are discounting, you are people pleasing. And the top 1% women don't do that because they charge for the value that they deliver, not the validation that they crave. They understand pricing psychology. They understand positioning. They understand that premium pricing is extremely important in the process of communicating confidence, knowledge, and expertise. They also understand that the coaching industry created an entire generation of women who were told to charge high ticket without ever addressing the emotional readiness required to hold those prices. And this is a very important topic. The top 1% build internal capacity before the numbers. They also know the difference between revenue and profit. They understand that they have different numbers that they have to have in mind, such as gross profit, overhead, net profit, LTV, and other numbers. They understand that a business making 1 million with no profit is not a business. It's actually a burden. They understand that profit is not just a financial metric, but an emotional one. They understand that profit gives safety, that profit gives power, that it gives choice, that it gives freedom. And they study numbers, and they study marketing, and they study human behavior, and they treat their business seriously, not like a hobby. Because what a lot of women in business do, they don't follow this blueprint. Successful women understand that each stage of business also requires different identity, because what worked at 500,000 probably wouldn't work at 5 million, or what worked at 5 million wouldn't work at 10 million. And the top 1% women know that. And they also avoid things that jeopardize their success, such as hyena clients. I call them hyena clients, who are disrespectful, who delay payments, who are difficult, who require a lot of emotional labor. Successful women fire these clients, and they raise their standards, and they protect their energy, because peace pays off. They also know that the wrong clients cost more than they can contribute. I've been there thousands of times. Another thing about successful women is that they reinvent themselves constantly. They recalibrate during low seasons instead of collapsing. They use these slow periods to innovate, to simplify, to restructure and heal, to upgrade, and they treat low seasons as preparation for a better season. They hold the vision even when evidence is thin. They don't shrink when things get hard, and they also use this time to strategize. They use this time to improve their identity, to expand again and again and again. And they understand that personal power is the ultimate wealth. Because once a woman who claims her power, everything works for her. No one can take it away from her. And finally, the top 1% women know that wealth is not an outcome. Wealth is a frequency. It's a posture, a belief, a nervous system state, and it's a way of being. They understand that wealth responds to worthiness, not to worthiness to wealth. And they understand that when a woman embodies the frequency of already having it, she becomes magnetic. She stops competing. She stops chasing, and she stops justifying, because now she focuses on creation. She's focusing on her leadership. She's focusing on finding new direction. She's focusing on decision making. She is the woman whose identity is wealth. And once that identity shifts, the entire life shifts with it. So if you found this video useful, comment in the comment section, what is that one shift that you are taking today to take you closer to being part of the number 1% woman in the world? What are you focusing on? Where are you giving your energy? And if you want to be surrounded by other super successful female entrepreneurs, I have created an amazing community, a free community full of incredible, ambitious women. The link to join is in the comments.